Over the past 2 decades, American taxpayers have contributed staggering amounts of money toward building and renovating sports stadiums and arenas. Since the year 2000, more than $23 billion of public money has been funneled into these projects, and rather than slowing down, the pace of spending has only accelerated. In 2024 alone, proposed subsidies exceeded $13 billion, a sign that the financial commitment from local and state governments is growing larger than ever. All across the United States, city councils and mayors are weighing whether to sign off on deals that commit hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars to stadium construction. Politicians often stand at ribbon cuttings, celebrating civic pride and community identity. But beneath the speeches lies a difficult and recurring question. Why do American cities continue to devote such vast amounts of public money to sports venues? Between 1970 and 2020, North America saw the opening of 135 new stadiums and arenas, and for most of that period, taxpayers shouldered the majority of the cost. Across those 5 decades, the median share of public financing reached nearly 3/4 of each project. That meant the lion's share of funding did not come from wealthy team owners or private investors, but from local citizens. Over time, the public share has declined somewhat. By the 2010s, cities and states were paying closer to 44% of project costs, yet the relief in percentages has been more than offset by ballooning budgets. Stadiums today are bigger, more extravagant, and far more expensive to build than those of a generation ago. In the 1990s, the typical public contribution averaged $168 million per stadium. Today, that figure regularly surpasses $500 million, with overall project costs often exceeding $2 billion. Recent stadium deals illustrate just how enormous these subsidies can be. Las Vegas is committing around $380 million in public funds toward a planned ballpark for the relocating Oakland Athletics. Tennessee has approved over $1 billion in combined state and local support for a new stadium for the Titans. In Milwaukee, renovations to the Brewers ballpark are drawing around $500 million from taxpayers. The dynamic that drives these decisions is familiar. Franchise owners frequently dangle the threat of relocation, suggesting they will move their team to another city unless they receive a new stadium deal. Local officials, not wanting to be blamed for losing a team, often cave. The result is a bidding war between cities, one in which taxpayer money becomes the primary bargaining chip. Supporters of subsidies defend them as investments in economic development. They argue that new stadiums create thousands of short-term construction jobs, draw tourists, increase spending at hotels and restaurants, and raise surrounding property values. The logic follows that a shiny new venue produces a multiplier effect for the entire community, funneling money into different corners of the local economy. On paper, it can look convincing, but independent research tells another story. A 2018 study examining more than 4 decades of data across major American sports leagues concluded that new stadiums had no significant impact on local economic growth. Cities with new venues saw roughly the same rate of personal income growth, between 1.4 and 1.6% annually, as those without them. In short, the net economic impact of stadiums is generally weak, often non-existent, and in some cases even negative. Despite the lack of evidence for large-scale economic benefits, the structure of stadium financing makes these projects attractive to owners and politicians alike. Most deals are built on municipal bonds. Cities issue tax-exempt bonds to raise the money up front, then repay them over 20 to 30 years with revenue from sales taxes, hotel occupancy taxes, car rental surcharges, or ticket fees. These repayment schedules extend so long that taxpayers can still be paying off stadium debt years after the facility has been replaced or even demolished. Arlington, Texas provides one telling example. To build AT&T Stadium, home of the Dallas Cowboys, voters approved a 0.5% sales tax increase, a 2% hotel tax, and a 5% car rental tax. In Wisconsin, 5 counties agreed to levy a 0.1% sales tax for 25 years to finance Miller Park. When the Giants' old stadium in New Jersey was torn down in 2010, taxpayers were still on the hook for more than $100 million in debt, which was not fully retired until 2021. St. Louis faced a similar situation. The bonds for its dome, abandoned by the Rams when they moved to Los Angeles, were only paid off in 2021, 5 years after the team left. These cases show just how deeply stadium debt can linger in public budgets. Not all stadiums are built with heavy public involvement. SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, which opened in 2020 and remains the most expensive sports venue ever constructed at $5.5 billion, was privately financed almost entirely by billionaire Stan Kroenke. The public contribution was limited to around $100 million, mostly covering reimbursements for basic infrastructure improvements like sewers and roads. By contrast, Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, home to the Raiders, cost nearly $1.9 billion, with $700 million of that coming from hotel tax bonds. Taxpayers received no rent payments or revenue sharing in return. In Buffalo, New York State has agreed to issue $600 million in bonds, with Erie County contributing $250 million more, to finance a new $2.1 billion stadium for the Bills. Jacksonville is negotiating a project costing up to $1.4 billion, more than half of which would be publicly funded. And in Tennessee, the new Titans Stadium will cost $2.1 billion, backed by $500 million in state bonds and another $760 million from Nashville's Sports District. This deal stands as the single largest stadium subsidy in U.S. history. Even renovation projects, though smaller in scale, often rely heavily on public money. Baltimore's Camden Yards, for instance, has required Maryland to pay around $14 million annually in debt service for upgrades. In California, Alameda County spent $70 million to improve the Raiders' former Coliseum, only for the team to leave not long afterward. These cases show that even when cities attempt to save money by upgrading old venues rather than building new ones, taxpayers still end up carrying a heavy burden. The question then becomes whether stadiums actually generate enough activity to justify these investments. Studies suggest they do not. On average, a stadium generates about $11 million annually for nearby businesses, a figure that looks paltry against subsidies often exceeding $500 million. Some research even shows that on game nights, downtown areas outside stadium districts lose traffic as consumers shift their spending rather than add to it. Meanwhile, the debt service from bonds consumes resources that might otherwise go to core public services. Servicing $500 million in debt, for example, can require annual payments exceeding $20 million, money that could have supported schools, transit systems, or law enforcement. Critics argue that the $33 billion spent on stadiums between 1970 and 2020 could have funded the salaries of thousands of teachers or police officers instead. If the economic case is so weak, why do subsidies persist? The explanation lies in politics. Stadiums provide visible wins for politicians. A new arena or ballpark is easy to show off, a physical legacy that voters can see and touch. By contrast, investing in schools, transit, or affordable housing, while arguably more impactful, does not produce the same splashy headlines. Politicians also face pressure from organized groups. Union leaders push for the construction jobs stadiums bring. Local entrepreneurs hope for revitalized neighborhoods. Fans clamor for their team to stay. Owners, of course, wield the biggest leverage, threatening to relocate franchises if deals fall through. In this atmosphere, elected officials feel cornered into approving subsidies, even if the long-term costs outweigh the benefits. When subsidies are put directly to voters, the outcome is less predictable. In April 2024, residents of Kansas City rejected a proposed sales tax increase to fund a new ballpark. Yet despite occasional defeats like this, the overall trend toward heavy public investment in stadiums has not slowed. Some analysts even warn that the country is on the brink of the largest stadium subsidy boom in history, with teams asking for billions in taxpayer dollars for new venues in multiple cities at once. The core problem with these deals lies in opportunity cost. Every dollar directed to a stadium is a dollar not spent on other pressing needs. In Nevada, for instance, teachers ranked near the bottom nationwide in per pupil funding have argued that the $380 million pledged for a new ballpark would be far better spent on education. Public goods such as schools, roads, and public transit systems typically deliver broader and longer-lasting social returns than sports arenas. Ultimately, stadium subsidies represent a trade-off between short-term civic excitement and long-term financial costs. They can deliver moments of pride, provide temporary jobs, and serve as symbols of a city's identity. But they also impose decades of debt obligations on taxpayers, with limited evidence of lasting economic benefit. As America heads into what could be its largest wave of stadium construction yet, the question facing local governments remains the same. Is committing billions of public dollars to new sports venues truly worth the sacrifice of other potential investments?